Presentation title is With the Benefit of Hindsight Project, a bioeconomic analysis of the pest incursion when we analyze the past incursion of some pest. And this study focuses on potato cyst nematode, which is a serious pest of potato in Australia and has caused significant crop damages in Australia and also worldwide. PCN has low level of infestation, so the low level of its infestation is hard to detect. It's very persistent. It can remain in soil for 20 to 30 years, even without the host plant. And the main way of dispersal is through soil movement by human. And it can cause up to 60 to 90% of the reduction in the potato yield. This study focuses on its incursion in Victoria, which happened initially in 1991. So this study focuses on a number of different policy scenarios that could be applied at that time. I look at 8 strategies, but here I present 5. So the first policy would be the policy that was taken by the state government in Victoria, which was containment while allowing potato to be produced in infested area. And by containment means that they restricted the movement of the machinery from infested area to uninfested area, and also applied surveillance. So the other strategy would be what happened, for example, if you contain but do not allow produce potato in the farm to reduce the probability of spread. And also other alternative strategies would be early eradication or doing nothing, which would be no control. And in no control, you would either allow to produce potato or not. And this would impact 2 things. One is the spread of PCN, the other is the cost due to yield loss. So the question is whether the current strategy or the policy was cost effective as compared to the other, which, as I said, it's a containment strategy that the area that is infested by PCN can produce potato, but movement of things between potato farm and PCN farm and other farm are restricted.
Sorry, Morteza, one quick clarification question. When you mean current policy, does that mean that since 1991, are they still applying that policy?
Yes, this is the same. It's a similar policy at the moment. So the first thing we need to know to do this analysis is to know what's the rate of spread of PCN. So we use the data based on the occurrence of the PCN, which was first found in Vandy and then slowly spread to other regions like Borneo, Jembrook, Kuvirap, and Trop there. To estimate the probability of spread, we also needed to know where are the potato farms that were not infested. We estimated the location using ABS data, base map, soil and slope map. So the yellow dots are the PCN-free farms. Then the probability of spread was estimated using this functional form with the data. So we used many different functional forms, and this was the one that gave the best fit for the data we had, where PS is the probability of spread of PCN from an uninfested farm to an infested farm, and D is the distance. And A is a spread coefficient, so we use maximum likelihood function in order to estimate the parameter A. And the idea is that at any point in time, the probability that one farm being infested depends on the distance from the other farm. And of course, if there are more farms infested, the probability of infestation for an uninfested farm would be higher. So we had a challenging task of actually knowing how to assume probability of spread for different strategies, because this data was under the current strategy, which was the containment. So we had to have a set of assumptions for A value. For A, we considered the mean, maximum, and minimum value for 95% confidence interval, and maximum value for the 99% interval, and also average the value of the mean and minimum value for 95% interval. Of course, the mean would be assigned to current strategy because this is the mean value. And then we assume that the highest value would refer to the strategy that result in the highest rate of spread. So if there is no control and you allow the potato being produced, would result in the highest rate of spread. Therefore, we set A at 6.2 for that, which is the highest value. And if there was an early eradication attempt, it would reduce the probability of spread. Therefore, we assume that A value is for that strategy, which is early eradication. So then we needed to actually calculate how, what are the yield losses and the benefit losses due to different strategies. We used the earliest infestation in vending in 1991 as the initial condition, and then simulated the spread of PCN for different policy scenario for 24 years, which is from 1991 to 2015. So then Monte Carlo simulation model was run for 100 random draws of, from a binomial distribution. Here we have the list of 5 policy strategies that I mentioned before. So you would have here the total policy costs, and the policy costs include both control cost and also cost to the potato farms due to infestation of the PCN. As you see, the early eradication would result in the lowest costs. And the current policy, which is policy 1, is ranked 4th. So the things that are included in each of these policies, the costs, one of them is the containment or eradication cost or control cost. So containment, because is a case that eradication was not achieved, it would have an ongoing cost. Therefore, its cost is pretty high. It's $4 million. So the first 2 policies.
Stick behind you if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah. So the first 2 policies would have a large containment costs, and therefore their overall cost is high too. Eradication cost is low because, and we use this value for the cost of eradication that happened in Western Australia, a successful early eradication, which costed them about $800,000. So if it is detected early and being eradicated, it would result in a low rate of spread, and therefore the NPV loss for all farms would be also low as compared to some other strategies, because this is being calculated by this like benefit multiplied by the number of the farm that are infested in 24 years, and also its discounted value. So generally, the benefit losses, for example, for containment would be the 2 things, like the yield loss due to reduction in potato production due to PCN, and also reduced potato price, because in the infested area, the potato price would be lower. So that would be its cost. And the cost per farm would be the highest if there will be no plantation of potato in the farms. So therefore, as you see, the total policy cost is the lowest for eradication cost, and our conclusion is that an early eradication is the optimal strategy to deal with PCN.
So but is there a confidence interval around those policy costs? Because 4.5 and 4.6 are really that different.
Yeah, so we used well, we used at the end stochastic dominance to compare this strategy. It is still dominant, but the thing is that for this strategy, that's true. The cost is very similar to early eradication, and main reason for that is because PCN is a very slow spreading pest. Usually, with other pests, you would have much more difference in terms of the total costs. when you get that, but also our assumptions about the spread coefficient is important. So we think that this result would be beneficial to the government organizations which would deal with potato and also potato growers. There were two general challenges with this study. One of them was the availability of the recorded data and the estimation. Especially, it was very important, the data, to get an estimate of probability of spread. And the other one is the general challenge, which is the time frame for the policy response by the policymaker is pretty short. And sometimes that time period is so short that there is not enough time to do a rigorous economic analysis to find what are the best policies. So generally, we advise the Department of Agriculture to apply an early eradication if they find PCN in new regions. Our end user was John van Schagen from Department of Food and Agriculture. He generally supports our research and is interested in our results, and we think that there is applicability of our result and can be generalized to the other species that have similar characteristics. Okay, well, thanks very much for listening. Yes, Ross.
It's not clear to me to what extent the consumer surplus impacts are considered in the study. People considering control costs and impacts on farmers' profits. But what about consumer surplus impacts? How do you capture those?
Yeah, we didn't look at that, like the consumer surplus. So and there was a study by David Cook, which said that if you don't manage PCN well here, it's going to be spread into other area and it's going to be more expensive, etc. He talks generally about that. So I did not capture the consumer surplus, but I would assume that this would affect the price of potato for consumers.
Yeah, because I'm just saying that if the policy response is for a government department to adopt a particular response, then that response should reflect not only the interests of potato producers but also potato consumers.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I agree.